Lesson 3. Lección 3. In this lesson, we will learn how to ask someone what he or she does for a living. We will also learn how to conjugate the verb ser in the present tense. The Spanish verb ser means to be. There are two verbs in Spanish which mean to be. Besides the verb ser, the verb estar also means to be. In the future, we will learn the Spanish verb estar. For now, I want you to think of the verb ser as the verb we use when we talk about permanent or lasting attributes. And we use the verb estar to indicate temporary states and locations. In Spanish, we use the verb ser to talk about professions. I know that you can change your profession or what you do for a living, but we usually do not frequently change our professions or what we do for a living. That's why we use the verb ser when talking about professions, since professions usually last for quite a while, if not permanently. In this lesson, we will also learn the names of some professions. You may or may not already know how to say doctor, lawyer, dentist, nurse, fireman, and police officer in Spanish. If you do not already know how to say the names of these professions in Spanish, there are lots of free videos on YouTube that will teach them to you. In this lesson, I will teach you the names of some professions which are very common in the 21st century. The names of professions which are not taught in other Spanish programs. But before I teach you one of two verbs which mean to be, I want you to listen to the following conversation.
Hola,
Hola,
¿cómo estás?
bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
Excelente, ¿cómo te llamas?
Me llamo Vanessa. ¿Y tú? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Me llamo Miguel.
¿Cuál es tu nombre completo?
Mi nombre completo es Miguel Pérez. ¿Cuál es tu apellido?
Mi apellido es Flores.
Entonces, ¿tu nombre completo es Vanessa Flores?
Sí, mi nombre completo es Vanessa Flores.
Mucho gusto.
El gusto es mío.
¿A qué te dedicas?
¿Cómo?
¿Qué haces? O sea, ¿en qué trabajas?
Soy diseñadora gráfica. ¿Qué haces tú? ¿Eres bloguero?
No, no soy bloguero. Soy conductor de Uber. Vanessa, fue un placer conocerte.
Igualmente.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
This is how you say the verb ser or the verb to be. Listen and repeat.
Ser. Ser. Ser.
This is how you say the phrase I am, as in, I am a graphic designer. Listen and repeat.
Yo soy. Soy. Yo soy.
In Spanish, it is not always necessary to use the pronoun yo, which means I, as in the phrase, I am. In order to say I am, you can either say yo soy or just soy. The pronoun yo can be added for clarity or to show emphasis. Again, how do you say I am?
Yo soy. Soy.
This is how you say graphic designer. Listen and repeat.
Diseñador gráfico. Diseñador gráfico. Diseñador gráfico.
How do you say graphic designer?
Diseñador gráfico. Diseñador gráfico.
In the phrase diseñador gráfico, which word do you think means designer?
Diseñador. Diseñador. Diseñador.
In the phrase diseñador gráfico, which word do you think means graphic?
Gráfico. Gráfico. Gráfico.
I just taught you how to say graphic designer in Spanish when referring to a male. This is how you say graphic designer when referring to a female. Listen and repeat.
Diseñadora gráfica. Diseñadora gráfica. Diseñadora gráfica.
How do you say graphic designer when referring to a woman?
Diseñadora gráfica. Diseñadora gráfica.
I hope you noticed that when referring to a male designer, we use the word diseñador. And when we're referring to a female designer, we use the word diseñadora. Once again, how do you say the phrase, I am?
Yo soy. Soy.
How do you say, I am a graphic designer?
Yo soy diseñador gráfico. Soy diseñador gráfico. Yo soy diseñador gráfico.
If you're female, did you make sure that you said diseñadora gráfica and not diseñador gráfico? Tell me again. How do you say, I am a graphic designer?
Yo soy diseñador gráfico. Soy diseñador gráfico.
The phrase soy diseñadora gráfica literally means I am graphic designer. In Spanish, unlike in English, we do not include an indefinite article and say soy una diseñadora gráfica. However, there is an exception. If I wish to modify the Spanish word diseñadora gráfica and say that I am a talented graphic designer or I'm a famous graphic designer, in that case, you must include an indefinite article and say, soy una diseñadora gráfica talentosa, or soy una diseñadora gráfica famosa. If you are speaking to someone who you address by señor or señora, or sir or ma'am, this is how you would say the phrase, you are, as in, you are an Uber driver. Listen and repeat.
Usted es. Es. Usted es.
In Spanish, it is not always necessary to use the pronoun usted, which means you, as in the phrase, you are. But the pronoun usted is often included for clarity or emphasis, or even to show respect. Again, how do you say, you are?
Usted es. Es.
There are actually two ways in Spanish to say the pronoun for the English word you. Usted is one of the words, and the other word is tú. Later in this lesson, we will learn how to use the pronoun tú in Spanish. For now, just think of the pronoun usted as the way to say you when speaking to someone who you address by señor or señora, or sir or ma'am. Once again, how do you say you are?
Usted es. Es. Usted es.
This is how you say Uber driver. Listen and repeat.
Conductor de Uber. Conductor de Uber. Conductor de Uber.
How do you say Uber driver?
Conductor de Uber. Conductor de Uber.
The phrase conductor de Uber literally means driver of Uber. The Spanish word de means the English word of. In the phrase conductor de Uber, which word do you think means driver?
Conductor. Conductor. Conductor.
You just learned how to say Uber driver in Spanish when referring to a male. Now I want you to tell me how do you think you'd say Uber driver when referring to a female?
Conductora de Uber. Conductora de Uber. Conductora de Uber.
How do you say Uber driver when referring to a woman?
Conductora de Uber. Conductora de Uber.
Now tell me, how do you say the phrase you are?
Usted es. Es.
Speaking to a male, how do you say you are an Uber driver?
Usted es conductor de Uber. Es conductor de Uber.
Speaking to a female, how do you say you are an Uber driver?
Usted es conductora de Uber. Es conductora de Uber.
And how do you say the phrase I am?
Yo soy. Soy.
And how do you say I am an Uber driver?
Yo soy conductor de Uber. Soy conductor de Uber.
If you're a female, did you make sure that you used the word conductora instead of conductor? Tell me again, how do you say, I am an Uber driver?
Yo soy conductor de Uber. Soy conductor de Uber.
Let's now learn another way to say the pronoun you in Spanish. You have already learned the pronoun usted. Let's now learn the pronoun tú. As I mentioned earlier in this lesson, think of the pronoun usted as the way to say you when speaking to someone who you address by señor or señora, or sir or ma'am. In that case, you can think of the pronoun tú as the way to say you when speaking to someone who you address by their first name. This is how you say the phrase you are, as in, you are a blogger, if you were speaking to someone who you address by his or her first name. Listen and repeat.
Tú eres. Eres. Tú eres.
Speaking to a friend, how do you say you are?
Tú eres. Eres.
In Spanish, it is not always necessary to use the pronoun tú. In order to say you are, you can either say tú eres or just eres. The pronoun tú can be added for clarity or to show emphasis. This is how you say blogger. Listen and repeat.
Bloguero. Bloguero. Bloguero.
And if referring to a female blogger, how do you think you'd say blogger?
Bloguera. Bloguera. Bloguera.
Speaking to a friend, how do you say the phrase you are?
Tú eres. Eres.
Speaking to a male friend, how do you say you are a blogger?
Tú eres bloguero. Eres bloguero. Tú eres bloguero.
Speaking to a female friend, how do you say you are a blogger?
Tú eres bloguera. Eres bloguera.
Although you probably know how to say the words for yes and no in Spanish, let's learn them now just in case. Be very careful to imitate the Spanish speakers so that you do not sound like you're pronouncing English words when you say the Spanish words for yes and no. This is how you say yes in Spanish. Listen and repeat.
Sí. Sí. Sí.
How do you say yes?
Sí. Sí.
And this is how you say no in Spanish. Listen and repeat.
No. No. No.
How do you say no?
No. No.
Speaking to someone who you address by their first name, this is how you ask, what do you do? As in, what do you do for a living? Listen and repeat.
¿Qué haces tú? ¿Qué haces? ¿Qué haces tú?
In the question, ¿Qué haces tú? Or what do you do? Which word do you think means what?
¿Qué? ¿Qué? ¿Qué?
In the question, ¿qué haces tú? Or what do you do? Which word do you think means the phrase, you do?
Haces. Haces. Haces.
Besides ¿qué haces?, there are some other ways in Spanish to ask someone, what do you do for a living? For example, you can ask, ¿En qué trabajas?, which can be translated as, what line of work are you in? You can also ask, ¿A qué te dedicas?, which can be translated as, what do you dedicate yourself to? But in this lesson, we will use the more conversational question, ¿Qué haces?, in order to ask, what do you do for a living? Again, speaking to un amigo or someone who you address by their first name, ask, what do you do for a living?
¿Qué haces tú? ¿Qué haces? ¿Qué haces tú?
This is the end of this lesson. If you were able to get 90% or more of the responses correct in this lesson, then you are ready to move on to the next lesson. If not, repeat this lesson until you are able to get 90% or more of the responses correct.